So, what brings you here today?
Well, I was privileged to be invited to the Brooks Rehabilitation Hospital community event, and so we're going to get a chance to share some tall tales and lies and an adventure story with the people at work and our patients here. And so this will be kind of a busman's holiday since I have a certain amount of experience with rehabilitation. And so this will be a nice opportunity to swap stories.
Awesome. And could you tell me briefly about your experience on Mount Everest?
Could you rephrase that ever so slightly?
Briefly, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Could you tell me about your injuries on Mount Everest?
Okay. Well, I was in a storm for 22 hours, and 15 of those hours I was frozen face down on the ice. And so I have one of the worst cases of frostbite that you'll probably have an opportunity to see. And I froze both of my hands completely and destroyed my face. My right hand was completely gone, and I had a little bit of my left hand left, and so we did a Civil Wars cut it off kind of surgery, and then a Star Wars vascular microsurgery extraordinaire to make a functioning mitt. It kind of looks like a Klingon death ship. And then the middle of my face was all gone, so I just basically had a hole where my nose and stuff used to be. And so we grew a nose on my forehead upside down, and then when it was able to have a decent blood supply, they moved it around and put it back in the center of my face. And I like to think that I helped them out because I wasn't that good looking to begin with, and so maybe the reconstruction would be a little easier.
Give me advice for anybody who would like to go out there and try to do these sorts of things and fill that gap in their heart.
Well, it is a fundamentally selfish event. This kind of climbing carries with it risk that you simply cannot manage away. Nobody wants to put themselves at any greater risk than possible, but the intrinsic nature of these places is that they will maim and kill people. And if you think it can't happen to you, then you're seriously mistaken. And the risks, the higher you go and the bigger the mountain, the greater those risks escalate. And you're not only putting yourself out there, you're putting your wife, your kids, your parents, your friends, your colleagues, all of them are going to have a hole in their life that's not going to be filled if you get yourself killed. And so I think you have to ask that question of, is it worth it? And, if I pay the price on doing this, is it worth it for what I'm going to inflict upon my wife and children?
Oh, that's a wonderful answer. And it's so inspirational. And then my final question is, what possessed you? Like, why would you do this?
Well, I got into climbing as in kind of an odd fashion because in early college, which is not uncommon, that I became profoundly depressed, and I learned that driving myself to physical exhaustion relieved that. And so basically that kind of physical drive became a very integral part of my life. And there's probably no activity that I can think of that best utilizes that kind of physical preparedness and training as does mountain climbing. And so it became a natural outlet. And eventually I learned to love it just on its own merits. And by the time I got to Everest, the depression was long gone, but the love for climbing remained.